It was only in your name for taxes. It was always meant for Delaney. My mom said. I smiled, called a realtor, and listed the 3-bedroom house they thought I'd hand over like a good backup son. Then my sister slipped up and proved why they chose me for. Hey Reddit, never thought I'd be posting here, but I need some outside perspective because my family is calling me the biggest asshole on the planet right now. I'm Cole, 28M, IT support specialist in Denver. This whole mess started 3 years ago when my parents, Frank 57M, Patricia 55F, decided to put a house they owned in my name for tax purposes. At the time, I thought it was finally them recognizing me as the responsible one. Looking back, I should have known better. See, my sister Delaney, 31F, has always been the golden child. Social media manager, always chasing the next big influencer dream, and somehow every family gathering revolves around her latest business venture. Meanwhile, I've been the backup plan since we were kids. Good grades. That's expected. Steady job. When are you getting promoted? I pay my own bills, never asked for handouts, but I'm somehow always the disappointment. When they transferred the deed to me at 25, I was honestly shocked. Mom said, "We trust you with this, honey. You're our responsible son." The house is a decent 3-bedroom in a growing neighborhood, probably worth around $380K now. I figured maybe they were finally seeing me as an equal to their precious Delaney. Fast forward to last month. Delaney's latest venture, some boutique social media consulting thing, went belly up. Apparently she'd been burning through money for 6 months, convinced she was the next big marketing guru. When reality hit, guess who got the phone call? "Cole, we need to talk about the house," Mom said, voice all serious. I drove over thinking maybe they wanted to discuss property taxes or maintenance. Nope. They wanted to sign the house over to Delaney. "She needs a fresh start," Dad explained, not even looking me in the eye. The business failing hit her hard and she has all these great ideas for her next company, but she needs capital. I just stared at them. "You want me to give away my house so Delaney can fund another failed business?" "It's not your house," Delaney snapped, tears already starting. "They only put it in your name for taxes. It was always going to be mine eventually." The manipulation was so blatant it was almost impressive. Mom immediately went into protective mode. "Don't upset your sister, Cole. She's been through enough. Besides, you have your job, you don't need the security like she does." That's when it clicked. The house was never about trust or responsibility. It was about hiding assets while keeping them available for the golden child. I was just the convenient placeholder. I told them I needed time to think about it, which sent Delaney into a full crying fit about how I was selfish and didn't care about family. Dad's contribution was that real men take care of their family, and I was embarrassing them by hesitating. I left without giving an answer, but my mind was already made up. I spent the weekend researching real estate lawyers and property law. Turns out, since the deed is legally in my name and has been for 3 years, the house is actually mine. All mine. So yesterday I called a realtor. The house goes on the market next week. I figure it'll sell for around $395K based on recent comps in the neighborhood. After fees and taxes, I'm looking at roughly $340K profit. My phone has been exploding since I told them. Delaney called me crying, then screaming, then threatening to never speak to me again. Promises, promises. Mom sent a novel-length text about family loyalty and how disappointed they are. Dad left a voicemail saying I'm destroying your sister's future and need to think about what really matters. But here's the thing, I am thinking about what matters. And what matters is that I'm done being the family ATM and backup plan. I'm done sacrificing my security for someone who's never sacrificed anything for anyone. My best friend Blake, 29M, electrician, says I'm doing the right thing and should have done it years ago. My coworker Riley, 26F, thinks I'm being harsh and that family should come first. My uncle Jordan, 52M, owns a small construction company, laughed when I told him and said, "About time you grew a spine, kid." So Reddit, AITA for selling the house instead of handing it over to fund my sister's next guaranteed failure. Update 1 original post got way more attention than I expected, so here's the promised update. It's been a week since I put the house on the market, and my family has officially lost their minds. First, let me give you some background I couldn't fit in the original post. This isn't Delaney's first business failure. In the past 5 years, she's burned through a boutique fitness studio, that lasted 8 months and cost Dad $40K, followed by an online jewelry business that folded when she couldn't handle shipping logistics after a $25K family loan, and most recently a lifestyle coaching venture that died when she couldn't get clients despite $15K from Mom's retirement fund. Each time, the family rallied around her. Each time I was expected to be supportive and understanding. When I pointed out the pattern, I was being negative and not believing in family. Meanwhile, when I asked to borrow $5K for IT certifications that would boost my career, "You're an adult, Cole, figure it out yourself." So when I listed the house, I already knew this wasn't going to end quietly. The realtor came by Tuesday for photos and staging advice. It's a solid property, good bones, updated kitchen, decent neighborhood that's only getting better. She thinks we can get asking price $395K or maybe even higher with the current market. Wednesday evening, I got the call I was expecting. "Cole, we need to have a family meeting," Mom said, voice tight. "Come over tonight." I knew what was coming, but I went anyway. Might as well get it over with. The intervention was exactly what you'd expect. Delaney was already in tears when I walked in, surrounded by tissue boxes like she was preparing for battle. Mom and Dad flanked her on the couch, looking like I'd personally kicked their dog. "How could you do this to your sister?" Mom started immediately. "She's trying to rebuild her life and you're sabotaging her future." Dad jumped in. "We thought we raised you better than this." "Family takes care of family." Delaney, through dramatic sobs, "I can't believe my own brother hates me this much. All I need is a chance to prove myself and you're stealing it from me." I let them vent for about 10 minutes, then pulled out my phone and showed them the Zillow listing. "The house is officially on the market. I already have 3 showings scheduled for this weekend." The explosion was immediate. Delaney started full on wailing like mourning at a funeral-level dramatics. Mom began pacing and ranting about family values and how I was just like your father's side, apparently we're selfish. Dad went quiet, which is always more dangerous than his yelling. Then came the guilt trips, each one more desperate than the last. Mom started with the emotional manipulation, pleading that I was destroying your sister's dreams and insisting she had such creative ideas for her next business. "This could be the one that makes her rich," she said with tears in her eyes. I pointed out that every business was supposed to be the one and asked what made this different. "You wouldn't understand," Delaney sniffled. "You've never taken a real risk in your life. You just hide behind your safe little IT job." "Right, the safe little IT job that pays all my bills and doesn't require family bailouts." Dad tried a different approach, leaning forward with his attempt at masculine shaming. "Real men protect their family," he said seriously. "Your sister needs security and you're taking that away from her. What kind of man does that make you?" I asked him what kind of man builds wealth by sacrificing his own security for someone else's 4th business venture. He didn't have an answer for that. When nothing else worked, Mom pulled out what she clearly thought was the nuclear option. "If you go through with this," she said, voice shaking, "you'll be destroying this family. Your sister will never forgive you. Will never forgive you. Is money really worth losing your family over?" That's when I stood up. "Let me ask you something," I said. "If the house was always meant for Delaney, why put it in my name at all? Why not put it directly in hers?" Silence. "I'll tell you why. Because you knew she'd blow it. You knew she'd either lose it in a business venture or sell it for quick cash. So you put it in the responsible son's name as a safety net, figuring you could guilt me into handing it over when she needed it." More silence. "Well, congratulations, you played yourselves. The responsible son is acting responsibly by keeping the asset in responsible hands." I headed for the door, then turned back. "Oh, and Delaney, for someone who claims to be a business expert, you might want to learn the difference between an asset and a liability. Right now, you're the liability." I left them sitting there in stunned silence. Since then, I've gotten 47 text messages from Mom ranging from begging to threatening, 12 voicemails from Dad about family duty and disappointment, a 4-page handwritten letter from Delaney about how I'm ruining her life, and weirdly, a supportive text from Uncle Jordan saying, "Proud of you, kid. Your grandfather would be too." The house has had 8 showings so far, and my realtor thinks we'll have offers by Monday. The market is hot, and this is exactly the kind of property young professionals want. My friend Blake came over last night with beer and helped me research investment options for the proceeds. He said watching me stand up to my family was beautiful, man. About damn time. Riley from work thinks I'm being too harsh and should at least consider a compromise, like loaning Delaney some of the money. I asked her if she'd loan $50K to someone with a 100% business failure rate. She didn't have an answer. I'm sleeping better than I have in years, Reddit. For the first time in my adult life, I'm making a decision based on what's best for me, not what makes my family happy. It feels weird, but good weird. We'll update when we have offers. This is probably going to get messier before it gets better. Update 2. Reddit, it's been 2 weeks since my last update and holy hell, things escalated fast. Buckle up because this got messy. First, the good news, the house sold. We had multiple offers within 3 days, and after a brief bidding war I accepted $402K after realtor fees, taxes, and closing costs. I'm walking away with about $348K, not bad for a house I got free and clear 3 years ago. Now for the drama. Monday morning, I called my parents to let them know about the sale. Professional courtesy, nothing more. I figured they deserved to hear it from me instead of finding out through the neighborhood gossip network. Big mistake. Dad answered the phone, and when I told him the house was sold, I heard him yell to Mom, "He actually did it. He sold our house." "Our house?" I said. "The deed has been in my name for 3 years." "That was for tax purposes, you little shit," Dad snarled. I'd never heard him use that tone with me before. "We trusted you and you stabbed us in the back." Then he hung up on me. 20 minutes later, Delaney was at my apartment, pounding on the door like the building was on fire. When I opened it, she was literally shaking with rage. "You selfish piece of garbage," she screamed, pushing past me into my living room. "Do you have any idea what you've done to me, to this family?" I asked her to lower her voice because I have neighbors, which apparently was the wrong thing to say. "Don't you dare tell me to calm down," she shrieked. "You just destroyed my entire future. That money was supposed to be mine." "What money?" I asked. "The money from the house that's legally mine. The house I just sold to actual buyers who made actual offers." That's when she totally lost it. Started throwing things, my coffee table, books, a lamp, anything she could grab. I had to physically step between her and my TV. "You've always been jealous of me," she yelled, tears streaming down her face. "You can't stand that Mom and Dad love me more, so you're punishing me." I looked at this 31-year-old woman throwing a tantrum in my living room and felt something click into place. This wasn't about the house. This wasn't about money. This was about a grown adult who'd never been told no, finally hitting a wall she couldn't cry or manipulate her way around. "Delaney," I said quietly, "the house is sold. The money is mine. Nothing you say or do is going to change that." "We'll see about that," she said, suddenly getting eerily calm. "We'll just see about that." She left and I had a bad feeling about whatever she was planning. I found out Wednesday. Uncle Jordan called me, laughing so hard he could barely speak. "Kid, you need to check your sister's Instagram," he said. "She's having a public meltdown and it's glorious." So I did, and wow. Delaney had posted a 47-slide Instagram story about how her toxic brother had stolen her inheritance and was financially abusing her. She posted old family photos with captions like "Back when my brother loved me," and "Before greed destroyed our family." She even posted a picture of the house with "Stolen from me" written across it. But here's the best part: she included screenshots of text conversations with our parents where they openly discussed how the house was always meant for Delaney and how they'd trusted Cole to do the right thing. Basically, she accidentally proved that they'd been planning to manipulate me all along. Her followers weren't having it. The comments were brutal, with people saying things like, "Girl, if your brother's name is on the deed, it's his house," and "maybe start a business that actually makes money instead of crying on Instagram." Others called it embarrassing and told her to delete it, while some pointed out how ridiculous it was for a 31-year-old to expect her little brother to fund her failed ventures. She deleted the whole thing within 6 hours, but screenshots live forever. Several family friends had already seen it and were texting me support. Friday, Mom called. "Look what you've done," she said, voice shaking. "Your sister is having a breakdown. She's talking about moving back home because she can't afford her rent without the money from the house." "Mom," I said, "she never had money from the house was never hers. It was supposed to be, we had an understanding. You had an understanding, I never agreed to anything." Then came the threats. "If you don't make this right," she said, "you're no longer welcome in this family." Christmas, Thanksgiving, family dinners, forget about it. You'll be dead to us. I actually laughed. Mom, when was the last time I enjoyed a family gathering anyway? When was the last time anyone asked about my life, my job, my goals? Every conversation has been about Delaney for years. Silence. If you want to disown me for keeping what's legally mine, that says everything about your priorities. I hung up. Saturday, things got interesting. Blake came over to help me research investment strategies for my windfall, and we were deep in comparing index funds when someone started pounding on my door again. This time it was Dad, and he looked like he'd been drinking. "Open up, Cole. We need to settle this man to man." I looked through the peephole and saw he wasn't alone. Delaney was there along with my cousin Derek, Delaney's age, similarly entitled, and Derek's girlfriend Amy. Blake looked at me and grinned. "Want backup?" I opened the door with the chain still on. "What do you want, Dad?" "I want you to stop this nonsense and do right by your family," he slurred slightly. "We raised you better than this." "Actually," I said, "you raised me to be independent and responsible. Mission accomplished." That's when Derek decided to play tough guy. "Just give her the money, Cole," he called out. "Don't be a little bitch about it." Big mistake. I unlatched the chain, opened the door wide, and stepped out. Blake appeared behind me, all 62 of electrician muscle. "What did you just call me?" I asked Derek quietly. Derek suddenly looked a lot less confident. I just think family should help family, you know." "Funny thing about family," Blake said, cracking his knuckles. "I've been Cole's friend for 8 years, been to every birthday party, every promotion celebration, every tough day. Where were you guys?" Amy tugged on Derek's arm. "Maybe we should go." "Yeah," I said, "maybe you should." They left. Dad lingered for a moment, looking older than I'd ever seen him. "This isn't over," he said quietly. "Yes, it is," I replied. "It's completely over. Since then, I've been officially cut off. No more family group texts, no more Sunday dinner invitations, no more birthday cards. And you know what? I'm sleeping like a baby. I've opened a high-yield savings account, maxed out my Roth IRA contribution for this year and next year, and I'm looking at buying a duplex as an investment property. For the first time in my life, I'm building wealth that nobody can guilt me out of. Uncle Jordan took me to lunch yesterday and told me he was proud of me for standing up to the family dysfunction. Apparently, a lot of the extended family has been watching this golden child dynamic play out for years and wondering when I'd finally snap. "Your grandfather always said the quiet ones are the dangerous ones," he laughed. Guess he was right. Blake's been my rock through all this. Having a friend who's got your back unconditionally is worth more than all the toxic family obligation in the world. Even Riley from work has come around. She said watching me handle this whole situation made her realize she needs to set some boundaries with her own family's financial expectations. The best part? My stress levels have plummeted. I didn't realize how much energy I was spending trying to manage my family's emotions and expectations. Without that constant low-level anxiety about who needs what and what I should sacrifice next, I feel like a completely different person. Reddit, standing up for yourself is scary as hell, but it's worth it. I spent 28 years being the responsible backup plan, and it turns out the only person who needed saving was me. We'll update if anything else crazy happens, but honestly I'm hoping for some peace and quiet while I build my own future. Final update. Hey Reddit, it's been 4 months since my last update, and I figured I owed you all a final wrap-up on this saga. A lot has happened, and honestly my life is better than it's ever been. First, the family situation. Remember how they threatened to disown me? Well, they followed through, and it was the best gift they ever gave me. Complete radio silence for 2 months. No calls, no texts, no guilt trips. It was peaceful in a way I'd never experienced. But then, predictably, the holidays rolled around. Thanksgiving week, Mom called. "Cole, it's Mom." Her voice was small, uncertain. "I know things have been difficult, but it's Thanksgiving. Family should be together." I let her talk. She went through the whole script, how much they missed me, how the holidays weren't the same, how they wanted to work things out. "What about the money?" I asked when she finished. Long pause. "Well, we still think you should help your sister." I hung up. Christmas brought a similar call from Dad with the same underlying message. "Come back to the family, but only if you'll be the financial backup plan again." "Your sister is struggling," he said. "She had to move back home, she's depressed, she needs family support." "She needs a job," I replied, "and maybe some financial literacy classes." That ended that conversation. The best part, I found out through Uncle Jordan that Delaney's female empowerment coaching venture lasted exactly 3 weeks. She managed to get 2 clients, both of whom demanded refunds after her first session. Apparently, her advice consisted mainly of complaining about how her family had sabotaged her success. She's now working part-time at a local boutique and living in my parents' basement, posting inspirational quotes about overcoming toxic family members on Instagram. The irony is lost on her. Meanwhile, my life has completely transformed. That $348K from the house sale, I invested it wisely. I put $12K into maxed Roth IRA contributions for this year and next, established a $50K emergency fund in high-yield savings earning 4.5%, used $200K as a down payment on a duplex in an up-and-coming neighborhood, and invested the remaining $86K in a mix of index funds and blue-chip stocks. The duplex was the best decision I ever made. I live in one unit and rent out the other for $1,800 a month, which covers most of my mortgage payment. I'm building equity while living almost rent-free. In 10 years, I'll own a property worth probably $600K plus dollars. Work has been amazing too. Without the constant family drama weighing me down, I've been more focused and productive. I earned 2 IT certifications, paid for with my own money, imagine that, and landed a promotion to senior systems specialist. 15% raise, better benefits, and my boss already mentioned I'm on track for a team lead position. Blake and I started a side business doing IT consulting for small companies. Nothing huge, but we're pulling in an extra $2K a month each. That money goes straight into investments. I've also been dating someone. Her name is Jessica. She's a nurse at Denver General, and she's amazing. We met through a hiking group that I joined after realizing I had actual free time for hobbies without family obligations. When I told her about my family situation, she said something that stuck with me. My parents always taught me that family is the people who celebrate your success, not the ones who try to profit from it. She's met Blake and Uncle Jordan, and she says she can see why they're my real family. Blood doesn't make you family, loyalty and respect do. Speaking of Uncle Jordan, he's become more of a father figure to me in these 4 months than my actual dad was in 28 years. He helped me evaluate the duplex investment and introduced me to his financial advisor. He also told me something that explained a lot about my family dynamics. "Your dad was jealous of your grandfather's success," he said over beers one night. "Never could build anything lasting himself. I think seeing you actually accumulate wealth triggered every insecurity he has about his own financial failures." That conversation helped me understand that this was never really about Delaney. It was about parents who couldn't stand watching their backup child surpass them financially and socially. The extended family situation has been interesting too. Most of my aunts, uncles, and cousins have quietly reached out to express support. Turns out, everyone was tired of the Delaney show and my parents' enabling behavior. Several cousins mentioned they distanced themselves from family gatherings because of the constant drama. Christmas was actually great this year. Uncle Jordan invited me to his family's celebration, and Jessica came with me. We laughed, played games, shared good food, and nobody once mentioned failed businesses or family financial obligations. It felt like what holidays are supposed to feel like. The biggest change, though, is internal. I didn't realize how much mental energy I was spending on family management, worrying about who was upset, who needed what, how to keep the peace. Without that constant background stress, I sleep better, work better, and just feel lighter. I've learned some hard truths about family dynamics. Some people will always see you as a resource, not a person, and setting boundaries isn't cruel but necessary for your mental health. Family dysfunction thrives when everyone enables it, and you can't save people who don't want to be saved. Most importantly, financial independence is the ultimate freedom. A few weeks ago, I ran into a family friend at the grocery store. She mentioned that my parents seem really stressed lately and that Delaney is having a hard time adjusting to living at home again. "Maybe you should reach out," she suggested. "I'm sure they'd welcome you back." I just smiled and said, "I'm sure they would. But here's the thing, I don't want to go back. I don't miss the constant guilt trips, the financial pressure, or watching my achievements get minimized while Delaney's failures get endless emotional support and financial bailouts. My net worth has increased by $180K in 4 months. I'm in the best shape of my life, have a woman who actually appreciates my stability and ambition, and I wake up every morning knowing my day won't be derailed by family crisis calls.